All right, we gonna watch another crazy one. This influencer wife lost her life because she stole money from her husband who was in jail. So when he got out of jail, I guess he killed her. So let's watch what happened, y'all.
I lost my mind. I was only drunk because I didn't have no food. Nobody cared that I didn't have food. Y'all just kept giving me Patron.
Because I look at you different. Why the about my baby mom? I don't give it. Yo, if you ever was the talk nigga, she'd tell you that.
I would never talk to that bitch on my level. She ain't do nothing to me, and she never been in my circle. She never been around me.
And you've been bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. So now I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm never gonna touch you again. I'm never physically gonna hurt you. You marry this nigga, I'm blowing this head off on everything I love. I'm going back to prison.
We've all seen those glamorous influencers online, the perfect lives, the
He said
luxury,
it.
the constant stream
Told
of
him himself.
picture-perfect moments. But what happens when the cameras go dark and reality
Listen, when a man say he gonna kill you or he gonna hurt you or do whatever to you, take him for his word. Don't sit there in that relationship. Run for your life because you could be saving your life if you run.
comes crashing in? For Tiffany Natifa Wade, reality wasn't just different, it was far worse than anyone could have ever imagined. On October 7th, 2023, what began as a typical day for Tiffany took a horrifying turn. She was at a barbershop with her young son, simply there to get him a fresh haircut. But in a matter of minutes, that ordinary day turned tragic. Her ex-husband, Armand Hilton, stormed into the shop, enraged and volatile. Seconds later, loud bangs rang out and Armand was seen bolting out of the barbershop, disappearing down the street. Tiffany dead. What could have driven Armand to
In the
commit such a
barbershop?
horrifying act?
Hold on. In the barbershop, bro? Am I tripping?
Tiffany took a horrifying turn. She was at a barbershop with her young son, simply there to get him a fresh haircut. But in a matter of minutes, that ordinary day turned tragic. Her ex-husband, Armand Hilton, stormed into the shop, enraged and volatile. Seconds later, loud
Wow.
bangs rang out and Armand was seen bolting out of the
In the
barbershop, disappearing
shop?
down the street. Tiffany dead. What could have driven Armand to commit such a horrifying act? And how did Tiffany's seemingly perfect lifestyle play a role in her death?
Man, I don't give a fuck about that. I told you stop throwing it in my face. If this is what you want to do, go ahead and do it. Stop throwing it in my
He was on the rampage. I was scared as shit after I was alone in Miami when he started calling me blah 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 anything on the phone.
face. I just left you 2 months ago. Stop throwing it in my face before I kill you. That's what I'm telling you, because that's what my mom said. I will go there.
For social
He said,
media
"Before I
influencer
kill you."
40-year-old
Literally told
Tiffany
you.
Natifa Wade, life seemed picture perfect. Her social media
Literally
feeds
told
were
you.
always filled with glamorous photos and videos, heartfelt posts about resilience, and glimpses of her successful businesses. She had captivated thousands of followers with her rags to riches story, inspiring people to follow their passions and chase their dreams. But behind the filters and carefully curated moments was a dark and dangerous reality she couldn't hide forever. Her volatile relationship with her ex-con husband, Armand Hilton, whose love had turned into resentment and obsession. Natifa, as she was
Hey, he
fondly
got a
called
fresh
by
cut.
people who loved her, had worked hard to create the life she shared online. From Philadelphia, Natifa had always known she would be successful as long as she worked hard for her success. And she did. Natifa owned multiple businesses she constantly posted online. She had a home care business she named Kisses Care.
Look at her.
She also had a wig business she named Kisses Armor Hair Extensions, as well as several other businesses she ran. You see, Natifa believed in herself and knew she could do anything she set her mind to. So if she had an idea, she didn't give up until she made that idea come to life. Social media was her tool of success. She made a lot of money influencing other brands and modeling and influencing for her own brands and businesses. She never stopped working. She worked very hard, but she played harder. Natifa believed in balance. She didn't think working should take up a person's whole time and space. She felt relaxing was important too. She shared even more of that on social media. Her social media pages were filled with photos and videos of her living it up, taking vacation after vacation and sharing them with her followers. She was an influencer, and that's what influencers do. From motivational posts to behind-the-scenes glimpses of her success, she made it look like she was thriving. But not everyone was happy about Natifah's success. Her ex-husband Armin Hilton was not happy that Natifah was thriving while he remained locked up in jail. The more she shared, the angrier he got, until one day he couldn't take watching Natifah thrive anymore, so he paid her a visit. By the end of that visit, Natifah was dead.
Man, I don't give a fuck about that. I told you stop throwing it in my face. If this is what you want to do, go in and do it. Stop throwing it in my face. I just left you 2 months ago. Stop throwing it in my face before I kill you. This is what I'm telling you, because that's what my mind.
All right, so let's understand the language here and what he is saying. She's obviously throwing something in his face, aggravating this dude while he's in jail, sounds like. He's saying, stop throwing it in my face, stop throwing it in my face. I left you 3 months ago, 2 months ago. Stop throwing it in my face. If he left you a few months ago, why is you still in contact with this man? He just said, I will kill you. After that conversation, there should have been zero communication with this man. Zero communication. And, what if her egging stuff like this on was the cause of her passing away? You know what I mean? Like, leave these type men alone, bro. He literally telling you, like, what is on his mind.
I was over there.
It sound like you
When
was
Natifah met
aggravating her.
Armand, she couldn't have imagined he would have been capable of the horrific things he would come to do to her. When they met, they were in love almost immediately. It pretty much felt like a fairy tale for Natifah, and she thought she had met the man she was going to spend the rest of her life with. A man she didn't have to compromise her lifestyle because he lavished her with money too. At some point in their relationship, Armand started buying properties in Natifah's name. The properties were meant to show Natifah the depth of his love, how much he was willing to do for her, and they worked. Natifah had fallen more in love with him than she ever did with any of the men she previously dated. Everything about Armand seemed perfect, starting with the fact that he seemed to have dropped into Natifah's life at the perfect moment. She had not been lucky with the men she picked in the past, and after 3 children, she was ready to give up on men and dating when Armand popped into her life. Everything else seemed to fall into place
done left
after
3
that,
children
or at least
behind.
that's what she thought.
That's sad,
What she
bro.
didn't know was that Armand's over-the-top gestures weren't just a display of deep affection, they were also an insurance of sorts. His source of income wasn't clean at the time, and buying properties in Natifah's name kept the properties safe in the event he was caught. It also meant Natifah would have to be in his life forever, or at least that's what he thought. He thought everything he did for her would be enough to keep her with him, but once he was arrested and sent to prison, the scales fell off Natifah's eyes and she realized she had been played by Armand. She quickly filed for divorce and moved on with her life, focusing on her children and businesses. But unfortunately for her, good news has a way of traveling fast, and it wasn't long before Armand caught wind of the kind of lifestyle Natifah's willing, and he was furious. At this point, he had spent years of his life behind bars paying for a crime that had torn his marriage apart. And what made it worse for him was that while he served his sentence, Natifah rebuilt her life, channeling her energy into her children and influencer career, and found love again with another man. Natifah had slowly started to post the man to her social media, just like she posted parts of her life, and somehow the photos and videos she posted of her new man found their way to Armand in prison. He was furious that she would dare move on from him after everything he had done for her, so he called to demand she stopped flaunting her relationship in his face. Like I said, Armand was in prison at the time, so Natifah didn't think she had anything to
Social
worry
media,
about. But the
man.
more she posted her new man and her luxury life, the angrier Armand got. When she wouldn't
Posting
do as he
too
said,
much.
Armand resorted to threats. He threatened to unalive her new man if she didn't stop flaunting him in her face, and threatened to unalive her as well. Natifah was unbothered by Armand's threats. After all, he was in prison and could not touch her. In response to his threats, she decided to post more videos of her man. She doesn't post his face just in case it got to Armand, but she was not shy about posting the huge rock he put on her finger.
Like, what's the point? Why you
Armand
gotta do all
was
that?
absolutely
What's the
furious when he
point?
found out that Tiffany, his ex-wife, had gotten engaged. After everything that had happened between them, him being locked up, the money he believed she'd stolen from him, and all the years they'd spent apart, this was the final straw. It wasn't just that Tiffany was moving on, it was that she was moving on without him, and that idea seemed to set something off in Armand. He couldn't stomach it. He couldn't accept that she was happy and building a future with someone else while he was left in the past, stuck in his anger and resentment. So, he started calling her, over and over, and with each call his anger seemed to grow. What had probably started as some frustrated messages about their past quickly turned into something darker. He was no longer just upset, he was threatening her.
And you've been bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. So now I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm never gonna touch you again. I'm never physically gonna hurt you. You marry this nigga, I'm blowing his fucking head off on everything I love. I'm going back to prison.
Armand could not bear the thought of sharing Natifa with another man, his jealousy turning to obsession in no time. When Natifa didn't do what he wanted, he asked for all the properties he bought in her name back, thinking that would pressure her to give in to his demands, but it didn't work. Natifa refused to give the properties back because he purchased them for her, in her name. There were gifts, and she didn't want to return them. This didn't go down well with Armand, who called with more threats.
Give a fuck, okay? I told you stop throwing it in my face. If this is what you want to do, go in and do it. Stop throwing it in my face.
All right.
I just left you 2 months ago. Stop throwing it in my face before I kill you. This is what I'm telling you because that's what my mindset. I will go there.
When he realized the threats didn't work, he changed tactics to begging her to take him back. He would call her several times to tell her how much he missed her and their lives together.
Us to be together, like I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Really do. I miss the whole everything.
But at that point, it was too late. Natifa had already moved on. Armand was unwilling to accept that, and what he did next sent shockwaves through the city of Philadelphia. When Armand realized his threats were not working on Natifa, he moved on to her friends. He threatened to unalive one of her friends until she told him she
Wow.
hadn't spoken to Natifa in a long time.
Man, that's guilty by association. That's why it's like, man, choose your friends wisely. I would not want to be targeted because one of my homies is in cahoots with some BS. Now I'm gonna target your homies because this your best homie. What? What I gotta do with it? I have nothing to do with nothing. Don't target me for nothing.
I snap on it because I look at you different. Why the about my baby mom? I don't give it. Yo, if you ever was to talk to nigga, she'd tell you that.
I would never talk to that on my level. She ain't the fuck nothing to me, and she never been in my circle. She never been around that.
After the threatening phone calls,
Wow.
she took to her social media to post about his threats. She wrote, "Speedy, you went out sad, bro. I never thought you would be out there recording men in jail, or me, or calling or pillow talking. I thought you was a real man. I am ashamed, damn." Armand was threatening everybody at this point.
That's social
he
media.
sent Natifa several threatening messages like, "Thought you was gonna get away for trying to play me like you played me, bitch. You don't know who the f*** are you. I'm a psychopath. I don't have to wish I'll do it. I'll get it done or get it done. This is what you don't understand." At this point, Natifa was scared, but still consoled by the fact that she was way out of his reach until he was released from prison. At around 1:48 p.m. on October 7, 2023, officers were called to a barbershop at the 2500 block of West Lehigh Avenue. The suspect was said to have opened fire inside the shop, hitting a woman in her torso and her head. By the time first responders arrived at the crime scene, it was too late. The victim, who was later identified as Natifa Wade from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, was pronounced dead at the scene at 2:04 p.m. In cases like this, the first thing investigators do is look at surveillance tapes at the crime scene, hoping they can find any cameras that caught the perpetrator. Sometimes they find enough clues to make an arrest, and other times they have to work the case even harder, working it from multiple angles to get to the perpetrator. But in this case, they didn't have to try all that hard. You see, there was a camera right outside the barber shop that records everyone that goes in and out of the shop. A quick look at the footage told the cops a lot more than they bargained for. In the footage, a man was seen running out of the barber shop, a firearm in his hand. He ran as far as he could, but he could not outrun the cameras. Once the investigators had what they needed from the footage, they spoke to the witnesses at the scene. They were told Natifa, who was a frequent client at that barbershop, had taken her young son to get a haircut on the 2500 block of West Lehigh Avenue around 1:48 p.m. As Tiffany and others were inside the barbershop, a man entered, furious and intent on violence. The suspect, later identified as her ex-husband Armand Hilton, opened fire in the shop, hitting Tiffany in the torso and head.
Police have identified a suspect in connection with a deadly shooting inside a North Philly barber shop. 44-year-old Armand Hilton is wanted for murder, robbery, and related charges. Police say he shot and killed Natifa Wade inside a barber shop on Lehigh Avenue on Saturday afternoon.
The details of the shooting were harrowing. According to authorities, Armand's attack seemed calculated, his rage explosive. He had known Natifa was going to be at that barbershop and came prepared. Investigators quickly turned their focus to locating Armand, who was considered armed and dangerous. The Philadelphia Police Department issued a warning urging the public to stay alert. They also started a manhunt, with the homicide unit and law enforcement agencies working together to track him down. The authorities begged for anyone with information on Armand's location to come forward, offering a $20,000 reward for tips leading to his arrest and conviction. The tip line was flooded with calls, but Armand was still nowhere to be found, and he continued to evade capture for days, further intensifying the public's sense of fear and urgency. As the investigation unfolded, Tiffany's tragic death began to reveal more than just the horror of the moment. People started asking, what led to this violent act? Was this just a random outburst,
ignorance.
or was there a deeper, more complicated
Let's be
story
real.
beneath the surface? Tiffany had built a life in front of the camera as an
Ignorant.
influencer, creating a persona that many admired, even envied. But behind that curated image was a personal history that may have played a key role in the events leading to her death. Her relationship with Armand Hilton had been tumultuous, marred by issues that were perhaps kept behind closed doors, but eventually spilled out into public view. They had been divorced, but clearly old wounds ran deep enough to push Armand to this horrifying act. As investigators dove deep into what led Armand to do what he did, they found out something shocking. Armand had claimed to many people that Natifa had stolen from him. He claimed the properties he bought in her name weren't meant to be hers, but for her to keep safe. It's unclear exactly how much money was involved, but it appears that the financial betrayal might have been what set off Armand's rage. As investigators pieced together the puzzle of Natif's life, it became clear that she was more than just a social media personality. She was a mother, a woman trying to navigate her own world and make a living, but also caught in a deeply troubled past. This story is far from over. Authorities are still searching for Armand, who is now wanted for murder. He remains at large, and anyone with information about his whereabouts is urged to come forward. The community, shaken and grieving,
Dang, they
is
still ain't
left
caught
with
him?
a painful
I mean, they
reminder
probably
that
caught him
even the
now.
most perfect lives can hide devastating truths. Tiffany's death is a tragic reminder of how betrayal and unresolved pain can erupt in the most horrifying ways. As this case develops, it raises difficult questions about the nature of influence, fame, and the darker sides of personal.
All right, can we be real, bro? Can we be real? Do I have a real audience? I'm gonna say this, bro. I don't condone anything he did at all. It's killing is wrong. It's a sin, of course. Don't condone anything. Personally, I feel like she got herself killed because of her ignorance, bro. Like, you sat here and aggravated this man constantly, constantly. Seemed like y'all had just broken up. 2, 3 months later, you with a man and you flexing him on the gram, and you flexing him on social media. He's telling you stop flaunting, stop doing all this, doing all that. Over there flexing, and you still is doing it. Granted, you live your own life, do whatever you want. But when you have a person who is threatening to kill you, you do what you have to do to save your life and be there for your kids. Because now you're leaving behind 3 kids, 3 beautiful kids. And that's the sad part. All because of your ignorance. Like, you egged this man on, bro. You really egged this man on. You didn't have to post any of that BS you was posting. None of that. You didn't have to show off your new man. You didn't have to do none of that. Keep your relationship private. Why was you still in cahoots with the man that was threatening to kill you? He said, I'm a psychopath. I can do it. I will do it. I will go back to prison. I will find a way. Even though you were scared, you continue to post on social media the things you really shouldn't be flaunting. And then he asked you for the property back. Yes, he put it in your name, but it was for you to hold. Then he asked for the property back. If it was me, I'd be like, here, take everything, take all you want. Like, I don't want nothing you gave me. I want nothing to do with you. Take it all, blah, blah, blah. And then you sitting here also flaunt talking mess about him on the gram too. Talking about you a crash, not crash out, but along those lines, basically saying you a crash out. Like, you got yourself killed. I'm sorry. Um, Beautiful young lady. RIP to her. Just very unfortunate situation. I feel like it could have been avoided. Very sad. I'm praying for her and her family, for her kids, everything. Um, but yeah, I mean, it could have been avoided. I hope everybody could learn from her life, to be honest, and this situation. That's just my real thoughts on it. But yeah, that'll conclude this video, man. Make sure y'all like this video. I also have a second channel. It's J Protege Reacts. I want to make that my official reaction channel because I want to start posting like more personal life things on here on this channel. So if you're watching this video on my regular channel, switch over to my J Protege Reacts channel. I think it's J Protege Live. And if you're watching it on my live channel, hello. Welcome to my J Protege Live channel. But yeah, everything that I post on my personal, I post on my live channel. So it's the same exact videos, same exact thing, same exact description, everything. So but yeah, that concludes this video. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe to my other channel, man, and I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.